Welcome to the Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded podcast. I am your host, Ness Jones, and we'll be deep diving into all things separation anxiety. But before we get started, please make sure you like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another one. And don't forget, if you are interested in joining my easy step-by-step training program to resolve separation anxiety in your dog, you'll find the link in the show notes. Now let's get started. Welcome back to episode 5, and today we're going to be talking about something that may seem a little bit counterintuitive to you, which is not leaving your dog alone. Now, it's not forever. It's literally an interim measure while we go through a training program. In the last episode, we did talk about thresholds and why it's important never to let your dog go over threshold. Now, if we are leaving the dog for hours on end or even for a short amount of time to go over threshold, it's really going to undermine your training when you actually start doing that. So what we try to get people to do, and I know it's hard, I get it, is to not leave your dog alone. And so the only time your dog is alone is when it is having its training, and the absences that it's having then are safe. Your dog is comfortable, calm, confident, and consistent. They are under threshold and they are in what I like to call the safe zone. And that means that they feel safe about being by themselves. And then, of course, we're going to gradually increase that time, and we'll delve into that a little bit more in later episodes. But for now, we need to talk about not leaving the dog alone during the times that you do have to go out, because we know life happens. You have to go out to the shops, you have to go to appointments, you have a life that sometimes means your dog has to be either left alone, and we know at this point in time, they probably can't be left alone for very long because they're going to struggle, they'll go over threshold. So we find cover, we find someone to look after the dog while we go about our lives. So how do we do that? So there are a number of options, and I'm going to go through a few of them and hopefully give you some ideas of what to do. But I just want to re-emphasize that it's not forever. It's just while we're doing the training. So if you have to go out and leave your dog, you find cover for your dog, and the only time they're by themselves is when you're doing your training and they're learning about safe absences. So you're not going out and leaving them for a period of time where they're over threshold, panicking, etc., because we know that if you do, it's going to undermine your training. And if you're not sure why, go back to the last episode and have a listen to that. So options, family and friends. Now, often people do rely on, their close friends or family members to mind their dogs when they do have to go out. The only issue with that is sometimes for you, it might feel like you're burdening them and that you're abusing the privilege of their friendship or your relationship with them because you're relying on them so much with your dog. Sometimes also there can be a little bit of pushback. So they might feel that it's just a dog, let them cry it out. They might tell you that you're spoiling it and, don't be ridiculous, they'll get over it. All the things that people say. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but sometimes it might. So what other options have we got? The next one is dog walking. So if you're only going out for a short time, perhaps you could get a dog walker in to take your dog out and have a little bit of fun with it. And then you've just got that short time to go out, do what you need to do, and come back in. Of course, sometimes you will need to be going out for longer than that. So for whatever reason. So the other option is a pet sitter. So that could be somebody coming to your home and looking after your dog while you do what you have to do. Make sure your dog is comfortable with them, though. So I would certainly not be letting them into the house and leaving them with your dog, especially if they're complete strangers. So do a slow introduction, maybe meet them a few times, let your dog get used to them, maybe go out for a walk together with them, allow them to do some fun things with your dog, whatever your dog loves, whatever that is. It could be treat training, it could be taking them out for a walk, playing with them, whatever it is. help your dog bond with them so they're comfortable with that person when you do have to go out, when you do have to leave them with them. Now, some dogs don't like strangers. They're either fearful of them or perhaps they're aggressive to them. So you do want to try and find a pet sitter in that respect that is maybe is perhaps a trainer themselves, or at least they understand this and they know how to deal with it. So I would want somebody with a little bit of experience in that case. And you will have to do some training with them first, but you certainly wouldn't want to leave your dog with a complete stranger if that's how they feel. You would definitely want to ensure that there's a good relationship there already established before you leave that dog with that pet sitter. So be aware of that, and make sure you're comfortable with them too. So need to get to know them and make sure you feel good about leaving your dog with them. So slow introductions, pre-visits, training, relationship building, and building that bond. Other options are, and of course, these ones come at a cost. Doggy daycare. Not all doggy daycares are created equal, so do your research. Jump online, see if there's any negative things being said about them. Have they been in the news for bad reasons? Some of them operate differently to others, so find out what it is, how they operate. Now, some of them also might kennel your dog during the day by themselves. So just ask that question, because if your dog is being kennelled by itself and it's having a meltdown and panicking, that may not be ideal. So find out how they do it and what they do to make the dog feel comfortable if that is the case. Also, some of those big daycares, the facilities themselves are quite cavernous, quite noisy, and it can be overwhelming for some dogs. So we do need to take that into account. They might be better for an in-home type daycare. So the daycare is actually in a home environment, and it could be that your dog is more suited to something like that where it's not as overwhelming. But again, do your research, make sure they're insured, make sure you inspect their yard, make sure there's no holes in the fence, things like that. So it's up to you to do your research. Make sure you're comfortable with where you're sending your dog, because they're looking after your little baby. So make sure that is good. But unfortunately, these things cost money. So not everybody has the financial means to afford dog walkers and pet sitters and doggy daycares. So what are some other options? How about doggy friends? So what that might mean is often when we walk our dogs, we go pretty much at the same time. We bump into the same people. Maybe your dog's got a particular doggy friend that they play with, and you get to know their guardians. It's possible that if you get friendly with them, they could do some babysitting for you, and you can reciprocate and babysit their dog. So I've met a lot of nice people out walking my dogs. I'm sure you have too. If your dog's not obviously dog reactive and you have to avoid, but yeah, it could be an option. Get to know people, see if they're available. Not everybody's going to be able to do it, but maybe it's certainly worth asking the question. Now, perhaps you've moved into a new area and there are no doggy daycares. You don't know anybody. It can probably feel a little bit overwhelming for you as well. So get onto something like Facebook. So in my area, there are about 4 community Facebook groups, which is brilliant. If I need to find a good reputable garage, I'll just post in there, because you're talking to people that have lived here and know the businesses and all those sort of things. But if you reach out into Facebook and say, hey, I'm looking for someone who maybe needs a companion for a few hours on a Monday. My dog doesn't like to be alone. Has anyone out there got another dog? Maybe we could connect. And often you might find that you might be lucky enough to find a student who's studying for exams, and they just would like a furry companion just to keep them company while they're studying. Also, there's senior couples. So sometimes they move home, they've had dogs all their lives, and they move and suddenly they're not allowed to have a dog where they are, but they still want the connection with the dog. They love dogs, and they might be very, very happy to look after your dog just so that they can have that connection with them. Just get creative with your problem solving. I had a client a few years ago, and it was really lovely. She found a senior couple on Facebook and connected with them, and they adored her dog, and they would take him for a few hours whenever she needed, take him out for walks, keep him in their home for a brief period of time, and it was just a lovely, lovely relationship. Even when she didn't need them, she used to say, hey, if you want to, walk my dog or spend time with my dog. So it was really, really nice. So it's certainly worth exploring different options and get creative. Problem solving. I think that's the way I term it. We just need to problem solve. It's not, don't despair if you feel you don't have the options and you're starting to feel trapped because you can't leave your dog. There will be something, there will be somebody. You just have to get creative and find them. In the next episode, we will be talking about something very, very important, which is canine body language. So you won't want to miss that. You have been listening to Ness Jones on the Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded podcast. Don't forget to check out the show notes to learn more about my programs and how I can help you with tailored training. Until next time.